Good morning from Dubai. I've been here for a week now, and I wanted to give you a bit of my feedback after my first impression. So if you are new to the podcast, my name is Peggy van der Plash. And so I've been in Dubai for a week, and I would say the first few days were very confronting. And it really left me, I would say, fascinated, what Dubai represents, but also very unsettled. And you can see in Dubai really this extreme abundance of wealth and the extreme poverty. And that doesn't hide behind curtains. Like you see a guy driving a Lamborghini, passing, like a bus that is packed with daily workers that are probably living 2 hours away from where they're working on their construction site. So the contrast is really sharp. And it's really unapologetic, like it's very matter of fact. Nobody says, oh, how sad, we must change this. It simply is what it is, and people carry on. And I would say like the visibility really come with a strict pecking order, like status is worn openly. And so are biases, let's be honest. People don't hesitate to be dismissive based on race, religion, social class, political correctness, like really hasn't made it here, at least not in the Western sense. And I would say that lack of veneer extends also to personal interactions to some degrees, like there is not much sugarcoating. What people think of you is really written, plainly on their faces. That can be very honest, but also very uncomfortable. I would say that as a woman, even when comfortably dressed and behaving respectfully, I encountered, like some looks that carried, I would say, both lust and anger. It was not really hidden behind polite smiles or folks' respect. It's really raw and it's really right there in the open. Is it honest? Perhaps. Is it pleasant? Not at all. But really, it made me reflect on my own habits, like and on the way we deal with that type of things in the West. And if I look at myself, I've always taken great pride in being very polite and very respectful to everyone. And to quote Einstein, it was about treating, the janitor and the dean with equal courtesy. And if I'm really honest with myself, I was probably a touch more courteous with the janitor, But, coming here, I started questioning a bit, my approach, my values as well, because there's an uncomfortable question here, how much of that is really genuine and how much of that is cultural conditioning? And am I truly respectful, or am I just playing out the polite script I was raised with, And when I overcompensate, by being extra polite to those with fewer resources, am I really respecting them, or am I subtly highlighting the very inequality I claim to deny? So, like it really made me think about how we approach this social inequality, because if you zoom out to really the societal level in places, that I know better, like Canada, like France, like the US, there are tons of inequality, let's be honest, but we've really mastered the art of hiding inequality under a thick layer of politeness, like we pretend we're all equal or kind of. At the same time, coming from France for sure, but even what I've seen in Canada, in the US, like it is unseemly to discuss money. And yes, you might discuss money in the context of a business deal, but people are not going to come with their own financial challenges or their financial success either, maybe more their success than their challenges. But, like we pretend that it is not polite conversation, and that is actually very convenient because we avoid questioning, why those gaps exist. And, like this silence really serves a purpose because no one complain, there's no disruption, you're not rocking the boat, everyone smiles and the system rolls on, like. And what I found funny maybe not funny, but interesting, I guess, in Canada at least, is that with like this cost of living crisis where everyone is just trying to survive, I've heard more and more people being extremely candid about their own financial situations, things that you would not hear necessarily. And people, I would say all level of the layer cake, from, people telling me they need 2 jobs on top of a regular good job, in order to, make ends meet. I had a seasoned investment professional admitting to me recently that they have little to show for after 20 years. A corporate lawyer telling me that she won't be able to retire if she stays in Canada because, well, cost of living is so expensive compared to the compensation package post taxes that there is no way she's going to be able to actually pay for retirement and save, at the same time she's just maintaining herself. So, and she thinks she cannot even retire in a country like Portugal, which has a lower cost of living. So you really realize that this polite silence is no longer sustainable, like financial struggles are really spilling into conversations. And these financial, struggles once would have been brushed off as too personal. So I find that quite interesting, when I compare to Canada or France before and after, but also what I see in Dubai. And I would say what's trickier in the West is that we paired that politeness of not talking about money really and structural issues around wealth with that myth of individualism, like you can be anything you want. And so if you're not thriving financially, it must be your personal failure, mismanagement, poor choices, bad luck. And this framing avoids structural critique, And so inequality is not a system problem, it is your problem. You're the one who did it incorrectly. So once again, politeness makes it easier because no one has the ugly discussions, no one challenges the status quo. And I see the same script plays out with gender, because if you ask, for respect or equality, you're quickly branded difficult. If you're a woman, you're obviously quoted as a nasty woman. So, like the good girl smile, they stay agreeable, they don't raise uncomfortable truth, keeps the peace, keeps the machine running. It's easier on everyone except the person, who has to swallow it. And I see the same with finance, where basically, I remember that very well in France when I was coming myself from low-income housing. You're not supposed to talk about money. You're not supposed to. Well, that makes it very easy because now, there is no uncomfortable conversation going on with what you have to live with and the tremendous stress you're under because of financial struggle as a family, as a kid. And no one has to look into that. So and that's really the question I've been circling since I came here, is that would our G7 societies be better off if we were to borrow a page from the Emirates playbook? And I'm not saying by tearing apart the welfare states or removing safety nets, but by dropping the veneer, by allowing inequalities to be more visible, discussed, challenge instead of politely pretending that they don't exist, we're all equal and blah, blah, blah. So, a bit, if we want to make a parallel with movies, less Stepford Wives and Don't Worry, Darling, where everything looks, polished and fine, and more White Lotus and Parasite, where the truths of class, power, and human nature are really laid bare. So maybe not a prettier world, but maybe a more honest one where people wouldn't be under the impression that if things are not working out, it's their fault, at least there is a bit more honesty with the layer cake and the fact that, guess what, the deck is stacked against you and it's highly unlikely that it's going to work out for you. So I hope that makes you think. I hope you enjoy this conversation. I really enjoyed writing this newsletter and recording this podcast. If you have any questions and comments, please reach out. I'm always happy to hear from you. Have a great day and talk to you next week.